Good morning, Carter. It's RJ back with another video, so let's get to it. Today's random Mike Schmidt item of the day from 1985 Fleer, the Superstar Special. Fleer was really good about doing all those unique cards of star players. I really do love the Fleer. It's always the back of the box. In the junk wax era, had these awesome cards. And this one, obviously, 4 great poses of Mike Schmidt on one card. Who can beat that? Random baseball item of the day. Very interesting thing. Only available by, if you knew about it and asked for it, you could get this free card set. Basically, there was a local, in the Philadelphia region, there's a, some kind of a society that's trying to get people interested in Negro League or black historical figures surrounding the game of baseball in the Philadelphia region. So it's called A League Apart. It's got its own .org, and they produce a 4-card set that you could order online. And I know, shout out to Mike over at the Hot Corner, who turned me on to it, and I filled out the form you needed to get this, and it took a while to come. It's probably been a couple months since I filled out the little online thing, and I finally got it's a little 4-card set, but it's individuals who you don't normally think of per se as part of baseball, but some of them are, and I'm going to start with the oldest one first. So this one I like because it's pretty historical. Guy named Octavius Cato. Okay, now he is not known as a baseball player. People in Philadelphia would know Octavius Cato because he was known as being murdered on Election Day back in 1871. He was out to vote, and some guy didn't like the idea of an African-American exercising his right to vote, and they shot him. And that's really all it is. There's a statue to him out by City Hall today, which is great. I think that's something that really definitely should be honored. But he actually did organize and participate in baseball as a youth. There's a little bio back there. Talked about the organization down there, too. I don't know if you guys want to go online and see if you can't find the cards still available. I don't know. This one is a guy I'm not aware of. I don't know this individual. And Bolden, similar to Mr. Cato, he was involved in early baseball efforts in and around the city of Philadelphia. There's his bio. Then you get into 2 more recent individuals surrounding the game of baseball, specifically new Hall of Famer Richie Allen. Don't need to go into too much detail about Richie Allen. We all know him. If you don't, certainly, hopefully, you're learning a little bit more about him because he just got in the Hall of Fame. And this is a great one. A little lady who was very popular several years ago, about 11 years ago, Monet Davis, from the Little League team that went to the World Series tournament. They did not advance all the way to the game, but she was very popular during that season, and a few years later. It says here she's looking to pursue a career in sports management or media marketing. I think she'd be great at that. You know, more power to Monet as she goes on. So it's a little 4-card set, barrier breaker, League Apart. Check it out, leagueapart.org. I don't know if they're still available. Maybe you can get one too. So that is my random baseball item of the day. Today's trivia question. On this day in baseball history, August the 29th, 1977, this individual steals career base number 893, thereby setting the modern record. Name him and the individual he surpassed to get that record. 3 awesome cards here for you. First one, 1993 Upper Deck Randy Johnson. The Topps archive card, of Lou Brock, and of course a Conlon collection card. The Conlon collection card celebrating Ty Cobb as your career batting average leader. All right. So those are the 3 cards you're playing for. All you need to do is shoot me an email with a guess to that trivia question. I will include my email in the description below, along with a repeat of that question. You will have today and tomorrow to answer. We'll pick a winner on Sunday, all right? Good luck to everybody on that one. Today, it is the 5th Friday of August. And as I have done all year, when there's a 5th Friday, I do my 5th Friday Forgotten. Pick a member of the Hall of Fame that is little known to most people, but should be more known. So I want to introduce you to Mr. Bill Hendrick Foster. Bill Foster, a member of the Negro Leagues and one heck of a pitcher. So indulge me, and I will tell you a little bit more about Bill Foster. We'll come back a little bit later, talk a little bit more about him, and show off some cards, all right? Hang on a second, and we'll get into it. William Hendrick, Big Bill Foster, was born on June the 12th, 1904, in the city of Calvert, Texas, the son of the Reverend Andrew Foster and his wife, Geneva. If the name Andrew Foster sounds familiar, it should. The Reverend Foster's first wife, Evelyn, had given birth to a son on September 17th, 1879. That son was none other than Andrew Rube Foster. Rube Foster had already been active in baseball beginning in 1897, playing with various semi-pro and professional integrated and Negro League teams 7 years before his half-brother was born. When Bill was 4 years old, his mother died, and he was sent to live with relatives in Mississippi. It happened that they lived nearby to Alcorn Agricultural and Mechanical College, now known as Alcorn State University, one of the oldest African-American or historically black colleges. The college had a grade school beginning at grade 6, and Bill became a standout on the baseball team, even playing on some of the college-level teams. In 1918, at the age of 14, Bill left school and traveled north to Chicago to get work in the stockyards. It was there he learned that he had a very famous half-brother named Rube. Rube was running the Chicago Negro League franchise at the time, and Bill went to see him, hoping that he could catch on as a very good pitcher. Unfortunately, Rube advised his younger brother to return to Mississippi and get an education and shun baseball. Returning to Mississippi at the advice of his brother, Bill went back to Alcorn and spent time in his education, playing ball, and actually began playing semi-pro ball when the opportunity arose. That got him noticed by the Memphis Red Sox of the newly formed Negro League, and in 1923 he signed on with Memphis. He got so good there, he was noticed by a very well-known Negro League entrepreneur. Bill was a hard-throwing lefty listed at 6'2" and 195 pounds. Buck O'Neill described him as a fireballing lefty with blazing speed and an awesome curveball. As he matured, he added a slider and a change of pace and was capable of throwing all of his pitches with the same arm motion, a huge plus in his incredible career. Bill played with the Giants from 1923 through 1930. His breakout year was 1926, when at one time he won 26 consecutive games in league play and barnstorming tournaments. He routinely won over 30 games a year under the same format for several years thereafter. He was without a doubt the top left-handed pitcher in the league during those years. In the winter of 1927 to 28, Bill went south to Cuba to play winter ball. Like many Negro League stars, it was easier for them to make a lot of money playing ball down south in Cuba than to try and find odd jobs in the States. He was teamed on that team with Oscar Charleston and Judy Johnson, both future Hall of Famers. He didn't fare as well as Cuba as he did in the States, but he was still very impressive. Bill played for the Chicago American Giants through the 1937 season, although he did have brief stints with other teams such as the Pittsburgh Crawfords and Homestead Grays. He was routinely among the league leaders in wins and strikeouts, but his arm began to tire in 1935, and he spent his final year of 1938 back with Memphis, where it all began for him. After retirement, Bill married his high school sweetheart. They had a son and moved to North Carolina, where he sold insurance for a few years. Eventually, he got divorced, remarried, and returned to Alcorn, where he served beginning in 1960 as the Dean of Students and the baseball coach. Today, the Alcorn baseball field is named in his honor. Bill died in 1978 and is buried at Alcorn. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1996. As you can see in his plaque, some of the highlights of his career were his great World Series victories in the Negro League World Series in the 20s, as well as managing a couple clubs. But most important, his time at Alcorn is always discussed. So I hope you have more of an appreciation of Bill Foster. It is his pitching prowess as a dominant left-hander that made him a Hall of Famer. There was those times in the late 20s he was absolutely phenomenal. There's a lot of bio information about him on the SaberWeb page if you want to read up more about him. It's interesting, though. I told the story about how he came to first meet his brother Rube, and who sent him home and packing, and that really stuck with Bill. He really never forgave Rube Foster for kind of dissing him when they first met. He really wanted to stay and pitch, but Bill was like, Rube Foster was like, no, go back and get an education. But what really annoyed him was that as soon as he became a good pitcher and was on his own, Rube forcefully took him from where he was and made him join the Giants. I mean, Rube controlled the league essentially at that time, 1923. So Bill had no choice but to go. He really resented Rube for the rest of his life on that one. Rube was out of baseball by the mid-20s, about 26, when Bill started to really blossom. Rube's health had declined, and he really no longer a part of the Giants. But Bill never really reconciled with Rube after he got drug into the American Giants. But he stayed with the Giants pretty much his entire career. Again, he did play with a couple other teams, as Negro Leaguers often did. He spent time at the California Negro League circuit, obviously in the Latin American circuit. So he played with everybody, played against everybody. He was quite the Negro League star in his time. Being as that it was in the early 20s and the mid-30s, he didn't maintain the level of stardom. If you really pay attention to the Negro League stars that we know, most of them were prominent in the late 30s and into the 40s. That's when people like Satchel Paige and Josh Gibson and all the other really, really big names that we think about were head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, obviously Martin DeHigo was right around the same time as Bill was, and there's older ones, Rube Foster, Oscar Charleston, but Satchel Paige, Josh Gibson, Larry Doby, Monty Irvin, they were mid to late 30s, early 40s is where their careers were. So, but Bill Foster was a fantastic pitcher. I do have a couple Foster cards. Let me show you them off. So I showed already. This is the obviously the Dick Perez Hall of Fame card. I have the Hall of Fame postcard, obviously, and there are two cards I have from Negro League sets. One is from 2020. the Negro League stars remembered, the 100th anniversary of the Negro League players. And then this one's a really ugly one, but it was a card set produced by Negro League, some group Negro League cards, and it's just a pencil sketch of Bill. So those are the only cards I do have of Bill, but I have some cards in my collection. I'm happy about that. So again, I hope you again learned a little bit more about Bill Foster. Makes you want to research him and some of the Negro League players a little bit more, I hope. But in case you didn't know him, hopefully now you do. That's all I have for you today. Don't forget the trivia question. Come back on Sunday for the recap. And I hope to see you again next week. We have more great prizes and trivia for you. Lots of great stuff to show off, all right? Have a great rest of your week. Take care.